This week was Halloween week, and while we were out at the shops looking for lollies, candy and things to scare the kids with, we noticed a very cheap espresso machine and grinder combo, and it got us thinking, can you make a decent cup of coffee at home using equipment that costs less than $100? And then we thought, there's only really one way to find out. The Kmart Compact Espresso and his little mate, the coffee grinder. These two bad boys came in at $84, $79 for the coffee machine and $15 for the grinder. That's right, isn't it? These two bad boys came in at 94 Australian dollars. Yeah, $94. So let's find out if it's a trick or a treat when it comes to making coffee with it. So, you've handed over your $94, but what the hell have you just bought? Well, it's a very entry-level espresso machine. It is what it is. It's cheap, it's cheerful, and it will make espresso. It'll also steam milk and allegedly produce hot water for long blacks or Americanos. As far as this little grinder is concerned, we haven't tested it yet. We're not entirely sure it's going to grind coffee beans. Most of the reviews around this mention it being a fantastic herb grinder, so we'll see. But the reviews for this bad boy, however...
Wowee, real coffee made at home. Old age pensioner. Can't afford cafe prices. Got my espresso for my 75th birthday. And now I have real coffee at home instead of instant. Wakes me up and puts a spring in my step.
Quick delivery, great little coffee maker, easy to use and makes really good coffee. Add to that a great frother. What more could you want?
Good enough. I like it. Obvious limitations aside, for a cheeky home coffee, it does a good job. Far better than instant coffee, and I can make a better coffee than I've had from real cafes. Recommend.
And as cheap as the build quality of these machines might be, they definitely serve a purpose. They're for budget-conscious people looking to make coffee at home easily and quickly and save a few quid by not going to cafes every day of the week. With this class of espresso machine, the sort of sub $100 range, there's definitely a couple of quirky little issues that I think are important to point out. This type of machine comes with a very specific, quite small basket and portafilter combo. Breville and DeLonghi and other home espresso makers are definitely making much more commercial grade equipment now because they understand that the home barista market is starting to boom. This class of machine does not have that kind of equipment with it. You get rather a small pressurized basket, more on that in a second, and a very specific type of group handle. A pressurized basket comes with what looks like a regular base on the inside, but a single hole on the outside, and there's two layers of metal there. Back pressure builds up behind the coffee pug during extraction and forces kind of a faux crema to appear, making it look like a nice crema-rich espresso, but a lot of that's been generated by kind of a fizzing process, I guess. Why do they include a pressurized basket? Well, they're assuming that when you buy a machine like this, you're not going to be buying a fancy grinder to go with it, so therefore you need pre-ground coffee. That's fine. Hopefully you've bought your pre-ground coffee from your local cafe, but if you haven't got a cafe nearby and you bought it from the supermarket, again, totally fine. However, supermarket coffee isn't always the freshest. It could have sat in a warehouse for a little period of time before being put on the shelf, and it might have sat there for a couple of weeks. The best way to tell is look for the roasted on date. It should be somewhere on the bag. It might not even say roasted on, it might just have a date. But if that date is any older than about 3.5 or 4 weeks, don't bother buying it. The freshness is kind of gone, the coffee's best days are behind it, and if you're only making one a day, it's going to take you at least a week to get through that bag. So by the end of that week, it's going to be even more stale. The fresher the coffee, the better the crema you're going to get from it. Side note on that as well, the crema that this basket produces is, if anything, a little bit too thick. So it's going to make life a little bit tricky when you're first starting out with latte art and learning how to make coffee look nice, even if your milk is very good. One other feature with this portafilter, because it hasn't got a spring clip holding the basket in place, if the bayonet happens to be lined up with the hole when you knock it out on the knock tube, the basket can fall out. This little plastic device holds it in place and stops that happening. Today we're going to test this little machine and this little grinder and see what the results are like when we use both pre-ground and whole beans. And we'll start things off in the purest form possible by making an espresso shot. What could possibly go wrong? Oh! All right, let's weigh out some coffee. We're going to start with pre-ground coffee first. This is store-bought supermarket coffee. Doesn't smell too bad. So we're going to go for 18 grams here. And I can guarantee that this is going to go absolutely everywhere as I try and measure this out into my portafilter. I've got my scale. What was that? That was 7 grams. Changed my mind. 17 grams seems to be the right weight. The scoop that comes with this machine also comes with a tamp at the end of it. We're not going to use anything else. We're going to use what came with the machine. So let's see if this works as we try and cram this pre-ground coffee into this little basket. Yeah, that's not good. As you'd expect, it's not perfect, but it works. I've got a shot of coffee ready to go now.
You know what, that doesn't look too bad.
It's actually produced a half decent espresso, this little machine. As expected, the crema's very thick on top. It's got an unusual kind of plasticky smell to it. That could be the water tank and the plastic pipes feeding the group head. There are 1 or 2 reviews on the Kmart website that mention this, that after a couple of goes, that should ease that plasticky taste and you should end up with a cleaner flavour. But it's not going to kill anyone, probably. I mean, it's bitter and it's the generic coffee flavour. It lacks complexity, but if you want a shot of coffee to get you going in the morning, this will make one. And obviously it's dependent on the type of beans we're using too. So next up, let's try whole beans. So this time I'm going to weigh out 17 grams of whole beans into my cup. Close enough. Now, most coffee grinders that aren't $15 have the option to change the grind settings, either finer or coarser. This little guy, you get what you get and you don't get upset. So let's see what happens. Oh, that actually looks all right. Smells a lot better than the pre-ground. Using the Kmart scoop, I'm going to try and get this ground coffee into my portafilter. Talk amongst yourselves. Is this how they want you to do it? Do they want you to do it this way? Is that why that's shaped like that? I don't really want to stick my finger in there, but well, the blades don't come out. It's actually done a really good job of grinding those coffee beans. It's made quite a fine grind. The particles look relatively even too, which is very surprising, seeing as it's not a burr grinder. I think this is going to be a little bit under 17 grams. There we go. Okay, right. Let's see how that runs. Wow. 36 grams. It's run on a little bit there actually, but that's fine. This is Honor coffee from Canberra here in Australia, and I've worked with these people for quite a while now, so I know what this should taste like through a more expensive espresso machine. So let's see how this one goes. That's actually really good. That's kind of most of the flavours and nuances you get from Honor, from the Aspen blend, from a $79 espresso machine. Like a basic version, like a light version. The crema is the problem again. It's just floating on top of the coffee shot and not really combining. So really, this little fella's looking like a bit of a bargain. So that now brings us on to the second part of the test for this machine. Can it steam milk? And of course it can. It's got a steam wand. But are we going to be standing here for ages, waiting for it to get hot? And will it give enough texture to produce any form of latte art? Well, again, there's only one way to find out. To test this machine's milk steaming capabilities, I'm just going to use the store-bought pre-ground coffee. I'm doing that because I feel like the crema consistency is quite similar regardless of whole beans or pre-ground. And if you haven't bought this machine with the grinder, you can see how it goes with pre-ground coffee. You'd expect, if you did upgrade and get a grinder and whole beans, it's only going to be better. So let's start at the base level and see what happens. Fun fact, the Kmart Espresso machine does not come with a milk jug, but we went back to Kmart and bought one for $7.50. So that now means with the grinder, the machine and the jug, you can produce home coffee for $101.50. Yeah, that's right. So that was a little bit unexpected. From this tiny little machine with its miniature little boiler, we've managed to produce fairly decent milk with quite a good texture for latte art, and if I do say so myself, managed to do an okay piece of latte art. What more could you want? $79 for the espresso machine, $7.50 for a milk jug, and $15 for a little grinder that really did surprise me in how good it was. We've managed to produce pretty good coffee. These two, combined with this machine, will definitely help you level up your game and make you brew like a boss. Guys, it's always a pleasure, never a chore. Until next time, I love you, bye!